He was handsome. He was charming. With a smile that could light up a room and a demeanor that put everyone at ease, he seemed like the perfect gentleman. People were naturally drawn to him, captivated by his charisma and good looks. He had an uncanny ability to make anyone feel special, as if they were the only person in the world. But behind that charming facade lurked a darkness that few could have imagined. He was also a ruthless killer. In the shadows, away from the public eye, his true nature emerged. The same charm that drew people in became a weapon he wielded with deadly precision. He stalked the night, seeking out his next victim with a cold, calculating mind. The streets that once seemed safe became hunting grounds, and no one was truly safe from his reach. Paul John Knowles, the Cassanova Killer, left a trail of blood and terror across America in 1974. His spree of violence spanned multiple states, leaving communities in shock and law enforcement scrambling to catch up. The media dubbed him the Cassanova Killer, a name that belied the horror of his actions. Each headline told a story of lives cut short, families torn apart, and a nation gripped by fear. At least 18 souls, maybe more, fell victim to his deadly charisma. Each victim had a story, a life full of potential that was brutally ended. Memorials and vigils were held in their honor, but the pain of their loss lingered. The true number of his victims may never be known, as some cases remain unsolved, their connections to Knowles suspected but unproven. The impact of his crimes rippled through communities, leaving scars that would never fully heal. Knowles was a master manipulator, drawing people in with his charm, only to betray them in the most horrific ways imaginable. He could blend into any crowd, his true intentions hidden behind a mask of friendliness. His victims never saw the danger coming until it was too late. He exploited trust and kindness, turning them into tools of his trade. His ability to deceive was his greatest weapon, and he used it to devastating effect. This is the story of his chilling spree and the victims who crossed his path. It's a tale of horror and heartbreak, of lives forever changed by one man's insatiable thirst for violence. As we delve into the details of his crimes, we remember those who suffered at his hands and the tireless efforts of those who sought to bring him to justice. This is not just a story of a killer, but a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable evil. Knowles' reign of terror began in July 1974 in Florida. It was a hot, humid summer, and the state was bustling with tourists and locals alike, unaware of the dark shadow that was about to be cast over their sunny paradise. Knowles, a man with a troubled past and a penchant for violence, had just escaped from prison. His freedom marked the beginning of a horrifying journey that would span several months and thousands of miles. His first known victim was a young woman named Alice Curtis. Alice was a kind-hearted nurse who had dedicated her life to helping others. She was walking home from a late shift at the hospital when she encountered Knowles. Little did she know this chance meeting would be her last. Knowles, driven by an insatiable urge to kill, attacked Alice with a ferocity that shocked even the most seasoned investigators. From there he embarked on a cross-country killing spree, leaving a trail of bodies from Florida to California. His journey took him through small towns and big cities, each stop marked by another senseless murder. Knowles was a master of disguise, often changing his appearance to avoid detection. He used stolen cars and fake identities to stay one step ahead of the law, making it nearly impossible for authorities to track him down. His victims were diverse, men, women, even children, but they all shared the misfortune of encountering the charismatic killer. Knowles had a way of charming his victims, luring them into a false sense of security before striking. His ability to blend in and gain the trust of strangers made him all the more dangerous. Each murder was brutal and calculated, leaving communities in shock and fear. He drifted from town to town, leaving a trail of anguish and fear in his wake. The small towns he passed through were forever changed by his presence. Families were torn apart, and the sense of safety that once defined these communities was shattered. Knowles' rampage continued for months, with each new crime scene adding to the growing list of his atrocities. His name became synonymous with terror, and his story serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind a friendly face. Amazingly, Knowles was arrested multiple times during his spree. Each time, he managed to escape, using a combination of cunning and brute force. He once picked a lock in a police car. Another time, he overpowered a sheriff during a bathroom break. His ability to slip through the grasp of the law only added to his terrifying aura. He was a phantom, always one step ahead, always a threat. What made Knowles so dangerous was his charm. He was reportedly handsome and charismatic, able to disarm people with his disarming smile and easy demeanor. He could befriend anyone, gain their trust, only to exploit that trust in the most horrific ways. He was a predator disguised as a charmer, and his disguise was terrifyingly effective. Victims in the web Knowles prey. Knowles's victims were often chosen at random, their lives tragically intersecting with his own. He preyed on the vulnerable, the trusting, those who saw the good in him and missed the darkness lurking beneath. Their stories are a heartbreaking reminder of the randomness of violence and the human cost of Knowles's depravity. A voice from the grave, the chilling confessions. As Knowles continued his spree, he began keeping an audio diary. On the tapes, he confessed to his crimes in detail, his voice a chilling monotone as he recounted each horrific act. The tapes, later discovered by authorities, provided a glimpse into the mind of a killer, revealing a chilling lack of remorse and a disturbing detachment from the suffering he inflicted. Cornered and desperate, the final standoff. Knowles's reign of terror couldn't last forever. As the body count mounted, a nationwide manhunt intensified. Law enforcement was closing in, the walls were starting to crumble. Knowles, sensing his inevitable capture, grew increasingly desperate and erratic. His last stand was a desperate, futile attempt to outrun the consequences of his actions. Justice. At last, the death of a killer. In December 1974, Knowles' luck finally ran out. He was cornered in a roadblock in Georgia. A high-speed chase ensued, culminating in a dramatic standoff. Knowles, trapped and out of options, met a violent end. While some might argue that he deserved a trial, his death brought a swift end to his reign of terror. Legacy of fear, the enduring shadow of the Cassanova Killer. The name Paul John Knowles might not be as infamous as some other serial killers, but his reign of terror left an indelible mark on the lives of many. Known as the Cassanova Killer, Knowles's charm and good looks masked a sinister nature that led to a series of brutal murders across the United States in the 1970s. Paul John Knowles was killed, but the terror he inflicted lived on. His death did not bring closure to the families of his victims. Instead, it left a void filled with unanswered questions and a lingering sense of dread. The rural roads and quiet forests where he committed his heinous acts became places of fear and sorrow, forever tainted by his presence. The families of his victims were left to grapple with their loss, forever haunted by the knowledge of their loved ones' final moments. The pain of losing someone to such senseless violence is unimaginable, and for these families the grief was compounded by the brutal nature of the crimes. Each visit to the cemetery, each flower laid on a grave, was a reminder of the horror they endured. Knowles's story serves as a chilling reminder that evil can lurk beneath the most charming facade. His ability to deceive and manipulate those around him was a key part of his deadly allure. He moved through society with ease, his charming smile hiding the darkness within. This duality made him all the more dangerous, as he could easily gain the trust of his unsuspecting victims. And that even in death, the shadow of a killer can linger. The places he once walked, the streets he once roamed, all carry the weight of his actions. The foggy forest paths and deserted streets at night serve as eerie reminders of the lives he took and the fear he spread. The legacy of the Cassanova Killer is a stark reminder of the darkness that can hide behind a smile and the enduring impact of his crimes on the collective memory of those who lived through his reign of terror.